Sequences, Quiz 1 review. Okay, we have the following problem here. We have these like a two levels here. We have where the problem begins on the sequence, which is a negative 75. And then we have the actual rule here, which is a negative 10. So we're going to write this as one level of the formula. So we would write down negative 75, then we'd write down our rule, which is a negative 10. And remember, you always end with n minus 1. So let's type that in there. So let's go negative 75. Our rule was a negative 10. And then we would go parentheses n minus 1. Complete the recursive formula of the arithmetic sequence. Well, the very first thing is we want to identify what the first term is. So the first term is a negative 16. Now we want to identify our rule here. Now notice you're going from 16 to 33. Well, 16 to 33, negative 33 to negative 50, negative 50 to negative 67. So the number is getting smaller. So since the number is getting smaller, it's going to be some form of subtraction. If you get confused on any part of these, you could take, for instance, the larger of the two numbers. You could simply say 33 subtract 16. So 33 subtract 16 is 17. Now, it wouldn't make any sense if you said a plus 17 because you want to continue, you want to go farther, you want to make the number much smaller, you want to get to 33. So the 17 would be a negative 17 because it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So in this case here, since they're getting smaller, our rule is going to be a negative number. It's going to be a negative 17. Now, if we were to take negative 33 minus 17, 33 and 17 is 50. It's a negative 50. If we check the next number, the last number, which is negative 67, we start at negative 50. Actually, forget about the negative 50. Just say 50 plus 17 is 67. They're both negative, so it's a negative 67. So our rule would be a negative 17. So in the top box, we simply type in negative 16. Now remember, the second box, by default, there's this plus sign. Can't remove it, stuck with that plus sign. So you have to put in a negative sign, and then you're going to go negative 17. Okay, we want to identify what the fourth term is. So this is our first term. Our first term is negative 7. So negative 7 is our first term. But we want to go to our fourth term. So let's identify what our rule is. Our rule is plus 6. So let me try not to cover that up. So the rule is plus 6 there. So we're going to add 6. So negative 7 plus 6 is a negative 1. Negative 1 plus 6, remember we're going to move 1 away from the 6. It now becomes a positive 5. Now we're going to add 6 to the 5, so 6 to the 5 is 11. So remember, we start with the negative 7. Negative 7 plus 6 still is a negative 1. You owe 7, you only paid back 6, you owe 1. But this time you're paying 6, so you're going to take 1 from the 6, you're going to get a 5, and then 5 plus 6 is 11. So 11 should be our fourth term. Find the explicit formula for the arithmetic sequence. So our first term is 170. Now we got to figure out what our rule is. But you see the numbers are getting smaller. If the numbers are getting smaller, it's going to be some form of subtraction. So just look at the numbers there. Remember, the rule is always the same between all the numbers. So 170 to 85. Yeah, we could use the calculator, subtract that out. But the obvious one is going from 85 to 0. That's got to be a negative 85. Because a positive 85 subtract a negative 85 is 0. Well, let's check it. We're now at 0. What's 0 minus 85? 0 minus 85 is negative 85. So if you take 170 and you were distracted by 85, well, you get 85. So our rule here is negative 85. Remember, you always end up with n minus 1 in parentheses. So we're going to type in the 170 because that's the first one we started with. Our rule is a minus sign, so minus 85, and then finish up with my parentheses, n minus 1. What is the next term of the arithmetic sequence? So we got 0, we have 2, we got 4, and we got 6. Since it's been identified as a arithmetic sequence, there is some actual rule here. Remember, it can be a positive number, it can be a negative number. So right here, to go from 0 to 2, and now notice even before you even start that, 0 to 6, it's getting larger. If it's getting larger, that means it's addition. So to go from 0 to 2, that's a positive 2. To go from 2 to 4, that's a positive 2. To go from 4 to 6, positive 2. Now this is the next number, the unknown number. 6 plus 2 is 8. So 8 should be the missing number here.